Yeah, so this morning we've been listening to Dr. Malik, who basically reviewed the research that he undertook, and he gave us a showcase of the different elements around that. And then we've had Javed, the artist, who produced a art piece around the work that he did in terms of symbolizing the work. So it's an open exhibition. People have been coming in and out, dropping in and out as they please. So now we're joined by Mohammed Sheraz, who's going to talk about his experiences in relation to migration from the subcontinent and his family and so on. Okay, Shri, over to you.
Hi, good morning everybody. My name is Mohammed Sheraz. I'm a British-born Kashmiri. I was born in Rochdale. It's a northern town, for those of you that don't know, in Greater Manchester. And Rochdale is a unique place, I would say. I would say it's the epicenter of the world for us, certainly for me. And as a northern town, as migration happened back in the 60s, where we saw a lot of families arrive from the South Asian countries such as Pakistan, Bangladesh, India, to come over to work over here to gain a better life or gain a new way of living and given opportunities to come over here through the Commonwealth. So as you can imagine, 1960s when people arrived here, it was like a foreign place of what they're coming to, what they're going to be doing, how they're going to be staying, the new surroundings, the new places, the new faces. So that was a challenge for our forefathers and elders, and certainly our grandparents who were the first ones to arrive here. You know, not knowing the English language, not knowing how things were working or what things they had in place. But these were the challenges that they were facing back in the 1960s. So you can understand arriving brand new, left over here. I can give you an example of my father when he arrived. My grandma, bless her, she's still alive, only came and dropped my dad off, who was 12 or 13 years of the age at that time, to be with my granddad over here. And he used to describe to me and say to me when they arrived here and they saw a row of houses compared to where the villages that they had come back from, the surroundings that they were living in, and there was a total opposite of how they had to adjust and what they had to do. So looking at migration and how it's moved on, you're looking at 60s and 70s were challenging times or interesting times for people as they started to arrive. They were straight away going into work or employment opportunities or filling the gaps. You know, when I choose the word filling the gaps, and that's what it was. You know, they weren't educated. They didn't have the qualifications or degrees of today or yesterday. But of those times, it was just hard labor. They arrived in this country to work. So as people started to settle, as they started to go into factories, Rochester's got a strong history of northern factories that we had over here. Whether you look at factories such as Prof Mill, Tetrosil, you're looking at places like Renshaw Mill. These industrial factories that were here in the 70s and 80s, people used to come and work for long hours, 12-hour shifts. You know, get up in the morning, 8 o'clock till 8 in the evening, 7 days a week, just to provide for their families and to have a better way of living. So within that time, 70s, 80s, we're looking at that. Then their children that were born in this country started to have education, started to go into the local education system, growing up, going meeting other people from different nationalities, mixing in and socializing, cultural diversity in the sense of the backgrounds that people came from and their cultures that they had. People then started to realize, and they had their own corner shops as well here. So giving them opportunities to set up. Those people that were affluent in them days or had a bit of money realized that people from back home certainly wanted some sort of connection with their own culture that they had left behind, and some of the foods that they were used to and having as well. So as you can see, bit by bit, year by year, people around different towns and cities up and down the country, you know, when migration was taking place, these towns such as Bradford, Birmingham, which are densely populated inner city urban towns and cities, they started to see a lot of migration from these countries. And people started to spread their wings and move to different areas as well. But people would rely upon each other to say that bond of connection was, hey, look, come to my town or my city. We've got jobs. There's opportunities here. Come and work for here. And people, when they were living here, they were sharing bedrooms as well and houses. When I say bedrooms and houses, they were like, my dad used to tell me, they would have one person would be sleeping in one bed, and that person, when he was leaving the house, another person that's come off the night shift in the morning or the evening, they would jump into that bed as well. That's how it was, in out, here, and people were sharing the houses, sharing the resources that they had at the time. So, moving on from there, you're looking at 60s, 70s, we moved on from the 80s now. So, for example, I was born in the late 70s. I had an opportunity to go to primary school locally here. And here, that's where I learned the language, I learned how to speak English. We made friends with the host community. A lot of my friends from the English community, we made friends with them living in our own areas. We were hesitant at times because we didn't know how to communicate or how it's going to be. And let's be real, there were a lot of challenges that the elders and our parents were facing, such as far right in those days in terms of National Front. So people had different challenges to face as well. So people have started to earn jobs, they've got money, they're now bringing their family members over or they bring their siblings over, they're working here. The second generation now is also the first generation that had arrived. The second generation now are learning how the system is working in terms of what facilities and services and places that they can visit. The first generation that I remember went to universities. Back in those days, it wasn't universities. They were called polytechnics. So our elders, or our older brothers, or our older seniors that we used to look up to when we were young, they started going to places like Preston or Sheffield or Preston Polytechnic and started to do further education, higher education. So it wasn't just about, right, you're going to school, you're going to get money. People wanted aspirations, people wanted opportunities, and they grasped that opportunity. A lot of families then, they encourage their children to say, you know what, yes, go and get that education, go and get that piece of paper, go and get that degree, because that's going to be beneficial for you. So you saw a rise in people going to universities and colleges and taking part in higher education or further education. For those that did get that opportunity and that had the language, they were privileged. They had the best of both worlds, really, because they were able to communicate in both languages. So I can speak in my own home language in terms of Mirpuri or Bahari, and I can also speak fluent English. Because here I'm born and bred in Rochdale, I learned here how it is, and I also learned the language that my parents had from where they're from back in Kashmir as well. So this was similar to other families as well, Bangladesh, Pakistan, etc. So people then, you can understand now, opportunities they started to create for themselves. They started to see a market. What happens is demand and supply. So local facilities, local things, how they're seeing that, can we open a local shop in terms of a street corner shop selling halal meat, foods, clothes, other commodities. And these things started to encourage people that, yes, we have come over here now, we've settled down here in the UK. For those that are getting born here now, they realise that, right, this is going to be their future. So people started, when they had the income, to purchase houses, to purchase their own home. That was a big thing back in them days as well. Cost, how things were and what prices were. The town itself, Rochdale, like I just said, full of history, full of opportunities, and people took that with their grasp. And now, looking at how we are in today's world, we're in 2023, with modern technology, communication, communication now, you just press one button on your mobile phone, you can send a message to the other side of the world, or the other side to a different area. In those days, communication was not the easiest. And people that came from South Asian countries, they used to, I remember we used to sit down and record a tape recording to send back to our loved ones, where we'd all sit down with these little tape recorder, press the record button and send a message to loved ones, and that would either be sent by a person that he or she was going back to South Asian countries, Pakistan mainly for us, and then you'd get a reply back maybe 6 weeks, 2 months down the line, or you'd rely upon aerograms as well. So for us, migration has, when you look at it in the context of now, and we're trying to look at what have we achieved, what are we doing, what have we done, and you think, yes, for those people that came here and arrived and have taken part in society, have become part of British society, but at the same time keeping their identity, keeping their culture, and having the challenges that we face, and to say, yes, we are part of the social fabric that makes up the United Kingdom. The opportunities that people have been given through the Commonwealth has been a great opportunity for people that they have grasped. So, just moving on to, I would say, in terms of life as a young person growing up here now, also compared to what it was before, boys and girls, nowadays in society, there is a lot of pressure, or there are a lot of stigmas, or there's a lot of attention. So finding your way in society, or finding your way within your own culture to gain opportunities, there are a lot of barriers and challenges we face. Don't get me wrong, I'm not here to paint a rosy picture and say everything's good. There are a lot of challenges and a lot of barriers that South Asian communities have faced and are still facing. It's not all one-way traffic. And these sort of barriers are something that we have to work towards. These are some of the challenges that we have to work to break down, to get our message across. It's working with local authorities, organisations, to highlight and to say, can we do this? Can we integrate? The whole debate of integration and citizenship has stemmed, and it will always change. But at the same time, it's about giving people hope. It's about giving people the strength and resilience, and giving them the opportunities to say, yes, you can do something. You can make something of yourself. We have so many successful people stories as well. Those people that have gone on to do higher things within society, have gone into, whether it's mainstream, nationally, politics, whether it's education, whether it's leisure industry, whether it's the catering industry, the culture that we brought from South Asia. Pakistani, Bangladeshis, Indians have also had a rich influence in the catering industry, and you can see up and down the cities and towns in the UK that you'll find every corner, or every centre in the town centre, you'll find a delicacy or a takeaway or a restaurant that people now frequent. You'd be surprised, but the national dish of the United Kingdom has now actually become the chicken tikka masala, not your traditional fish and chips. But as you can see, traditions, cultures, things, places move on, and it's valuing those richness, and to accept that, yes, we are all different but equal. And that's the main thing for us that we face, and we should embrace as well. Looking at cultures as well, people here now, when they've set up their own lifestyles, they've got businesses. The ones that are born here now, their aspirations are far greater. So nowadays you get youngsters thinking, right, I want to go and live my life in the Middle East or Dubai or America, or having that dream to say, you know what, you have been given that opportunity from where you've come from, where our humble background is from, and we've got the opportunity to fly to another country around the world because you have the income at your disposal and you have the means to do it. Those people that are still struggling now, in terms of now what we've got in this current climate of things, how we're looking at how the world is, and the challenges we face, that cost of living, employment, people are having to keep two jobs, or both. In some cases, both husband and wife are having to do extra hours or get two jobs to work just to fill the gap in terms of how they can pay back other resources that they need as well. So these are the challenges that we are looking at as well. Migration will always be in the news. Living in the UK, we had a ballot vote for Brexit. Brexit itself was a contentious issue here in the UK for us, but a decision was made. It was done democratically, and in the end, people of the UK decided that it was time that we left the UK. left the EU, sorry, and that had a knock-on effect because then people coming in from different countries, resources, timings, in terms of goods, services, the connections. If you say, for example, if you're buying goods from Europe, from Italy or Austria or other countries within Europe, that goods coming from the taxes that were being put on now. We're seeing a rise in fuel costs. We're seeing a rise in food costs as well, and it does have a knock-on effect. So migration for me has been, I view it as a positive. I see it as a means of change, as a means of celebration and diversity. And that's what we should always look at and say, because the next generations that we're going to have growing up here in the UK, they will have it easy because our elders, their sacrifices that they made, the hours, the times, the issues that they went through, the challenges they went through, they paved the way for third, fourth generation, to the fifth generation, so to speak, of people now from these countries that know what to do or have got things for them already made. So it's not the battle; it's the battles that nobody sees. It's the hidden scars, as they say, that communities face. In between that time, yes, people sadly do things and take part in, and have got involved in the wrong activities. But living here under the system and how it flows and what we do is what makes us to be proud of saying that I come from the United Kingdom. I'm British. I'm born in Rochdale. I live here. I am dual national. I can do things for me. So for us, I would definitely encourage, be proud of your identity, your roots and your values, and to look at things how that actually affects you as well, and how can you pass that on to others. Living here now, your neighbours, your friends, your local area, your local town, your people that you live in, you embrace all that. You take that all in to say, you know what, I'm proud of coming from this area. I'm proud of having the opportunities to be given. Writing a CV, going for a job interview, having these skills, developing these interpersonal skills, going for an interview for an employer, or having now employers from different backgrounds from the South Asian community who have successfully set up their own businesses. And not just that as well, just businesses as well. You're looking at social entrepreneurship. You're looking at social enterprises, people how they've connected and have set up their own businesses now and reaching far out to wherever they may be and however resources and whatever items or they produce as well. So migration, it comes back to people from all nations coming under one roof, coming under one city, one town, working together, celebrating of how they do things and what they do. Is there anything else that you would like me to touch upon, or?
I know in your youth and community development work, you worked with emerging communities as well, so people who have newly arrived as migrants here, and maybe refugees, asylum seekers, people from Eastern Europe, people from the Middle East, different kind of backgrounds. Can you touch upon how their experiences are, some of the stories that they might have told you, and maybe a little bit about the interfaith work and that kind of stuff that you've been doing?
Yes. Yes, definitely. You're looking at back in the 90s and back in 2000, we've seen a steady increase of people coming in from different countries from around the world. And mainly back in the 2000s, if you look at it now, since you've had countries that have been affected through persecution or war, or conflicts around the world that have affected them, we saw a rise in families from different countries. Refugees and asylum seekers then started to arrive to the UK and places like Rochdale. When these people started to arrive to Rochdale, myself working with an organisation called Army of Kindness and other organisations here, people just coming together to help and support those people in their hour of need. Families from Palestine, Syria, Iraq, and now namely from Kurdish, Iraqi, Iranians, Somalia, Sudan, spread into Africa. So you're looking at the migration from these Middle East Arab countries, and then you're going into African countries. So we've seen a steady rise in these war-torn conflicts and war-torn areas where we've seen people that have arrived, and sadly they've had to arrive. Some of them have had to arrive through the channels of France or illegally come here because they've had to escape because their lives were at stake, their lives were at risk, their children, their families, they had to leave all their belongings, leave all their life, and just say go because they feared for themselves. And arriving here at the same time, then having to adjust locally, the whole perception of all these foreigners or all these refugees are getting houses, they're getting all this. These are some of the stigmas and barriers that they've had to face and are still facing today. And now, whilst these communities have arrived, us as second generation, third generation that have lived here, we have also helped and supported and tried to provide these families with advice, information, guidance, provided them, our organisation, we provide food parcels for needy families, we provided furniture, because when they arrive here, sometimes the houses that they are occupying, they usually do not have any furniture with them, or previous tenants have taken them away. So it's providing them with resources, beds, furniture, goods, and equipping them with their full house, so at least that they feel some sort of comfort, some sort of ease, knowing that they've arrived here into the UK and it's not just leave them to their own devices now. And we as a town in Rochdale, we are very, very lucky that we're able to provide that support to them and give them that hope and to say, you know what, you're going to start your new life again, you're going to start again afresh from here in Rochdale. Where can you go? What can you do? And then it's for their children then, once they get into the system here, they have to go and learn the language of English, to go to primary schools, secondary schools, and now they've started to learn the languages, they're growing up here. And one of the key things and good things is, I've been working with the refugees here in Rochdale for the last 20 odd years or more, and we've seen now that some of those first refugee families that arrive and their children that have come through the education system here in the UK have gone on to successfully now go to colleges, go to universities, gain their degrees, and gain employment opportunities. And the levels, because they've had to learn the English, the levels of skill, the levels of language, and the levels of qualifications have improved year upon year, year upon year. Only this summer I was talking to some of my refugee families now who also volunteered themselves. So you understand they came as refugees, asylum seekers themselves 10, 15 years ago, if not more. And those that recently arrived as well, they're actually giving back to society. We run a weekly homeless food kitchen where we provide food for the needy families, individuals or homeless. And some of my volunteers come from those refugee backgrounds as well, where how they came on their first journeys back here to the UK, back to Rochdale as well. So it's giving back to the communities, it's giving back to the town, and to say, you know what, we've been given opportunities, we're learning over here, and now they're settling in here now, they're mixing in with everyone. It's a multicultural, multi-diverse borough of our town of Rochdale, and we're proud to say that we host all these nationalities here. I think at the top of my head, there was more than, it was documented, it's in Rochdale Council, that there are more than 250 languages spoken by people living in Rochdale. Yes, more than 250 languages, different languages are spoken for those people that are in Rochdale. So you can understand the huge dynamics of how many people from which countries and where they've come from in a small town, just a northern town in Rochdale, to share with us and what they are doing as well. So for me, the asylum seekers and refugees, that's been a great positive that we could channel and provide help and support to those as well. Empowering young people, empowering communities, building that hope for their people as well. My background, I was a youth and community worker. I worked for the local authority in Rochdale as a youth and community worker to engage with young people, and we worked with young people from the ages of 11 to 19. And the youth clubs were open mainly after school, on the weekends, to give young people an opportunity to come and learn and develop their self-confidence, build up their self-esteem, give them confidence to take part and learn about different aspects of society. So we would usually do that through games, teamwork, activities, and look at subjects and look at areas of work that they could learn from and work. So education, employment, training, jobs, sports as well. Recently, we've done a couple of courses from Rochdale from an organisation called Your Trust, who provides sports leadership, CSLA, Community Sports Leader Award courses. So a lot of my youngsters and young people that I've had from refugee communities have successfully gone on to a crash course for a week and gained this qualification. And that qualification itself then gave them the opportunity to be employed by local organisations like ourselves or other organisations as sports coaches. So you can understand they've come from a foreign country, they're working here, or they've got opportunities to work, they've done a course, now they've gained that qualification, now they're giving back to the communities. Over the summer, we took part in young people's activities to deliver a holiday programme, and I had a team of 14 members of young people that were delivering back to the local communities. And of them 14, I can proudly say 8 of them were from refugee and asylum seeker families, and included Palestinians, Sri Lankans, asylum seekers, refugee families that had arrived here, Syrians as well. So for me, it was a really proud moment for me, and that's a stepping stone for them, that they can actually gain employment or use the skills that they've got, or use that qualification. That qualification, that's for life. They learn the skills, and now they're giving back to the communities. So every half term or opportunity we get now, there are opportunities for them to either work for themselves or any other organisation they can go to as well, spread their wings and learn and do that. Youth work has given us the opportunity to provide youth exchanges for young people as well. In my career, in my role as a youth worker, I had many opportunities to provide youth exchanges to Europe and countries such as Turkey and Tunisia, to name a few. This was about engaging young people to give them opportunities to broaden their horizons. You know, for some young people that had lived in the UK, never had a passport, never been to a foreign country, may not have the opportunity. And this was a program funded by Erasmus EU that gave this opportunity to 15 to 30-year-olds living in the EU, and providing them the opportunity to take part under one roof. It gives them that opportunity as well. So youth work has given us that stepping stone, and given that opportunity for young people to develop themselves. Now those young people when I look back, they've gone into opportunities such as they become lawyers, they become barristers, they become solicitors, they become dentists, pharmacists. So the employment, the skills, some of them young people, they've moved on, they've gained maximum qualifications, they've gained maximum from what they could take out from there, and now they've bettered themselves, and now they're successful in their chosen careers or their pathways that they've chosen to be. So I'm really, really proud of that as well. And that's one of the things I always say to people is believe in yourself, motivate yourself to do well. The country of ours here that we live in has opportunities, creates opportunities, provides opportunities. You just have to be that person, he or she, to say, yes, I want to do it, I will do it. I have that positive attitude and mentality to do things, and you will be successful in your life.
Thank you for that, Shiraz. When you talked about culture, so things like dress, food, music, language, in terms of when you were growing up, did you find any challenges trying to kind of navigate the world of your parents' culture, the culture that you were experiencing in the UK whilst growing up? Was there any conflict of interest? Did you feel like that, or did you feel it was all good?
Yes, definitely. I would say, growing up in Rochdale, for us, the challenge is going to primary school, high school. As coming from a Muslim background of the faith of Islam, we have Ramadan, which is the fasting, that 30 days of fasting that we do. So having to do that in the UK, having to adjust to times. So that having a knock-on effect on our friends and our establishments or our organisations, or going to school and you were fasting all day, you wouldn't feel, you'd say, oh, I'm fasting. What's fasting? So we'd have to explain what fasting was, what our religion was, what we did, what we are allowed to eat, what foods we can't eat. what our food was. I remember when my dad used to work in the factory, and he worked all his life. He worked in the textile factory for more than 35 years or so. And his foreman, or as you would say nowadays, supervisor, he would come to our house on a Friday. And this was a middle-aged white gentleman, and it was called Derek. And he would come on a Friday just because my mum used to make samosas. So on Fridays, he would come at 4 o'clock. I'd come from school about half 2, 3 o'clock, whatever time school was, half 3 we'd finish. But he would always come at half 3 on a Friday, come to our house, because Fridays my dad used to finish work early on a tea time. So he would arrive at home on to 3:30ish, and my mum would have these samosas and pakoras ready. And Derek just used to love them because they couldn't get them. Well, they could get them from the takeaways. Nowadays they're more fluent, but it was homemade. They were homemade samosas. They were homemade. So that's how he got introduced with our family. That's how I got introduced with him as well, as not just my dad's mate, but who he was and what he was. And he used to come and sit and share a meal with us. And that itself, having a foreign person or a different person or a person from a different background and culture sitting down with you, it wasn't the norm, you know what I mean? Because these were the sort of barriers that we used to face in the community, that, right, don't let these people in, or what's going on, or secretive, or whichever. But then, over the years, post 1990, etc., we've got involved into the culture. I started supporting Liverpool Football Club. Wow, yeah, best team in the world. So we were able to do things. We were able to say, you know what, I'm British, I'm Muslim. I love football. I love eating. I love socializing. I can go visit my local town centre, go and explore things, do activities, sit on a bus, go on a journey somewhere, whether it's to Bradford or Manchester or other side of or each side of the towns that we live in. Explore different things, have events. And it's sharing that rich diversity and culture that we had. Food, clothes that we wore, Islamic clothes that we wear, the salwar kameez. For us is to go to the local mosque, having a mosque in your own area. Remember when there wasn't a mosque, it was just on South Street, just a house that was semi-detached, detached together, that we had to go and pray in. And as communities started to get bigger and larger, and more people were arriving, the need for bigger facilities and bigger provisions and bigger mosques were needed. And I was part of, and others have been part of, helping and supporting and fundraising for facilities and campaigning for these things in our community. And now we have a mosque that houses nearly 2,000 people on a weekly mass Friday prayer. And there itself, Muslims don't just come from the South Asian community. Reverts, converts, people from Europe, Africa, all Muslims are allowed to come and pray. And the mosque is open to anyone as well anyway. We have invitations for open days, we have invitations for schools, children to come and have assemblies and see what the mosque is about. So sharing our culture, Open My Mosque Day is an event where people from different backgrounds, non-Muslims, are allowed to come into the mosque and see the whole facility itself and see what goes on in the mosque. How do Muslims pray? What is a mosque facility? What else do they offer besides the prayer facilities? Because there are things that go on as well. So it's opened up, and the mosque has become a hub as well. So, locally we've got an IT centre where we get IT classes for men and women to do as well. We've got a madrasa class which provides for children as well. Extra activities that we do. The mosque has been taking part in environmental projects as well. So looking after their own environment, giving back to the area that we live in. So looking at how things are developing now, where we live in an eco-friendly, we want to go eco-green. How do we contribute? What do we need to do? What are the changes that we need to make as well? Identity, yes. Be proud of your roots. Be proud of your who you are and where you come from. Whether you want to call me British or Australian, Kashmiri, they all come into one part of one jigsaw. All the pieces combined together, so we know that who we are and where we represent and what we do. So for me, the richness is celebrating that and diversity and inclusivity as well. And yes, we have a long way to go as well. So we've come we've come far, but we've got further to go. So for me, I always value the sacrifices that our elders and forefathers made, and the sacrifices and the journeys that they've had to make for us to become where we are now. I'm sat behind a screen with the language, we're able to express, and we're able to say, this is my history, this is my culture, this is my identity. I'm proud of who I am. But giving hope to others to say, yes, you can sit in my position too as well. You could be better than me as well. You can do things greater than me. You can be the Prime Minister of this country. You can be a CEO of your own company. You can be the next person that's going to innovate or have ideas, do something. So individually, it begins with you, what you want to share, what you want to be, your dreams and aspirations. Go and live them.
Okay, thank you so much, Shiraz, for sharing your story there around the experiences of migration, your professional life, and other experiences as well. Thank you very much.